Salesforce professionals are in high demand, but it can be hard to find your niche. There are many different types of roles and responsibilities that you could take on as a Salesforce professional, which means that there's no one size fits all approach to finding the right job. It's easy to get lost in the sea of opportunities. What you're about to hear is an excerpt from the Brainy Show live stream from November 2nd, 2021, where I, along with my guest co host, Melissa Linenberger, provided some of the most up to date career advice for Salesforce professionals to help you find your niche in this competitive field. And if you didn't already know, you can catch the Brainy Show live stream every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Navigate over to brainy8.info/weekly to sign up and get notified about each week's show. Without further delay, let's get to it.
Welcome to the Brainy8 Show, where we talk about all things Salesforce, sharing the coolest features, solutions, and best practices to turn you into a Salesforce rock star. Here's your host, former attorney turned Salesforce consultant and trainer, David Giller.
Hello and welcome to all of you. I am super excited to see you again today. And I think we have a really cool agenda ready for you. But before I go further, let me introduce my guest co-host for today. Melissa, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, I'm Melissa Linneberger. I am a Salesforce admin, 8 years experience. I'm currently working with Build with Ferguson, Ferguson Enterprises. I've been with them since July. I also do some contract work with EOSTOP.
Awesome. So, Melissa, you're going to take us through some career advice for Salesforce professionals. By the way, for anyone who has not attended one of these live events before, basically, for the first segment, we're going to share some best practices and tips, some advice. The second segment, we broke it up into 3 segments. The second segment, I should have a graphic, a visual to show this.
Yes.
Put it on my to-do list. So the first segment, we're going to be sharing more conceptual. It's a little bit more of a talking head, not so much of looking at anything in Salesforce, sharing best practices, tips, and advice. Today, we're going to be focusing on, and Melissa will be primarily speaking about career advice for Salesforce professionals. The second segment is where we're actually showing something on the screen. So that's more along the lines of like how to do something in Salesforce or how to use certain features or best practices on rolling up your sleeves and actually doing something in Salesforce. And the last segment is where we're going to address any Salesforce questions that you might have to the extent that we're capable of answering it. So by all means, if you have any questions, go ahead and throw them into the comments. Just make sure to add a Q at the beginning so we know when we're looking at the comments, because sometimes it could be a little bit overwhelming when we're looking at all the comments coming in. We don't know if you're actually commenting on somebody else's comment or you're actually asking a question. So it will help us to identify your question by just putting a Q at the beginning of it before you put your question. But with that being said, Melissa, you ready to take it away on career advice?
I am.
And you want
Okay.
to share your screen, right?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Alrighty.
Okay. I'll share what I have here in just a moment. So what I said I would talk about first is the Salesforce careers. As I said, I've been in the Salesforce ecosystem for 8 years, and a little bit of background about myself. I worked for higher education for 11 years. And during the last 3 years of that, I went to a higher education nonprofit, and they were just implementing Salesforce and asked me to be the admin. That was part of why I was hired. And I didn't know anything about it, but I had a lot of database experience. And so I learned it. We had some bumpy roads the first few months because the consultants we were working with were, well, they had a lot of turnover. And so every time I would meet with them, they would start from scratch. And that was not working for me. And so I was self taught. I learned it. We didn't even have Trailhead yet. Or if we did, I didn't know about it. And so within a few months, we were up and going, and I was learning a lot. A few years later, after we had, I think, Enterprise Edition, and then later on, we added the Nonprofit Success Pack. And so then a few years later, my whole unit, I was the only Salesforce admin, but my whole unit was laid off because of budget cuts. And so I did some consulting work, worked for a few small consulting companies, and then eventually worked for Procter and Gamble through Tech Systems on contract. I was there for a couple years, and Let me tell you how I got that position, because that everyone knows Procter and Gamble. Everyone knows what that is. So big parent company for a lot of retail things that you buy. I won't go into the list, but you can look it up. I got that job because a friend had seen me at a conference. I had seen her at a few other conferences. She sent me a text, or actually a Twitter message, and said, "Hey, would you be interested? Are you still looking for a job?" And we set up a phone call. It was supposed to be 10 or 15 minutes, ended up being 45 minutes. And within a couple weeks, I was working with them. Great job, great experience. Unfortunately, they decided at Procter and Gamble, not my unit, but the whole company, decided that they wanted to have all their Salesforce admins in person. Of course, this is before COVID. So everyone had to be there on the campus, and that's in Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm in Kansas, so that was not going to work for me. So I ended up leaving after that contract, and a couple months later getting a job at a large financial company. And I implemented Salesforce for them. And so all the experience I had gotten was brought into my next position. And that was great because I knew enough to implement again and be at a very large company doing it. And so I helped them implement it. They use Salesforce in a totally different way, which kind of threw me off when it came to looking for a job again a couple years later. They sold to another company. And so I've jumped around a little bit, but I've gotten some really good experience. And so I've got a lot to say about the careers aspect of it. First of all, if you're looking for a job, get certified if you can, get some kind of experience if you can, maybe as a junior admin. One thing that recently came to my attention, working with a lot of recruiters, which you can once you're in the ecosystem and have some experience, they will search you out. I've probably gotten 20 recruiters calling me over the past several months. It's crazy. They still call me, even though I've got another job.
And they're not all bad, by the way. A lot of
No,
recruiters get a bad rap. There are some bad apples out there.
yeah,
I'm saying what there are, but anyway.
there are, but they're very friendly. They want to make a commission. They want to get you in a job, but they also do have the ends to where all those jobs are and can get you in the door. And so I actually got 2 jobs back in June, started this job in July 1st, and then started my other one a little after that as a contractor, which I was not looking for 2 jobs. So that was great just to have the extra income. But one thing everyone says, make sure your resume is specific to each job, which of course you're going to. But one thing that the recruiters liked was that I had the summary of qualifications. I put all of these qualifications at the top. It has my 3 certifications. It has some of my basic experience. And then, of course, lower on, I put some more specific information. And this was actually just updated last week. So it's got a lot of information on here. I just wanted to show you that because I think people don't show their resumes. And I think it's important to see what other people have out there. Like, you can really find all kinds of information about Salesforce skills just by doing a quick Google search. My resume has been built over time, so it's obviously morphed as I go. And then depending on the company that I'm working with, for recruiters, they might do some changes as well, or they might ask me some questions about what could I take on or take off of there, just depending on the position that I'm applying for. So recruiters are great if you're at the position where you can work with them. My first couple times looking for jobs, I didn't have a recruiter. This year, when I put myself out as available on LinkedIn, and that's the other thing, keep your LinkedIn profile up to date. Keep it matching your resume because you don't know what's going to happen or when you're going to need it. And so it didn't take me much to update that and have it sit out. I think one day I went on there, spent maybe half an hour updating it, and then put myself out there as being available. And within literally 2 minutes, I had 2 people contacting me. They weren't recruiters. One was someone I knew from high school, and another one was just someone random who had seen that I had put myself as available. So within 2 weeks, I was actively interviewing and had offers about a month later. So it happened really fast. Now, that's not going to happen for everyone. Obviously, you have to have the experience, you have to have everything set up and ready to go. But for me, it happened that way this time.
I'll just jump in real quick on LinkedIn because you happen to be talking about LinkedIn. So a lot of people mistakenly position in their head that like LinkedIn is just for when you're looking for a job. And if you're first going to LinkedIn to update your profile when you are in job hunting mode, it's a little bit too late. Yeah, you might pick some stuff up and you might get lucky and it might work. But what you really should be doing is leveraging LinkedIn at every step along the way on a regular basis. Even when you're at a job and you're quite happy, LinkedIn is not just a resume database. That's probably how it started. But LinkedIn is a social media platform for business related communications. So if you're working on something, I would encourage you to I'll back it up a minute, leverage LinkedIn as one of multiple channels to get out there your personal brand. So you need to be focusing on personal branding, letting people know the skills that you have, the interests that you have, the passions that you have, the things that you know how to do, the kinds of problems that you know how to solve, including even your personality. And LinkedIn is a fantastic way to do that because if you're first learning about even a brand new feature, let's say you knew nothing about Quip or CPQ, and your boss asked you to go ahead and start learning it on the job. You can start sharing what your experience is like as a post. It doesn't have to be a long essay. It doesn't even have to be 3 paragraphs. It could be 2 sentences about how excited, how intimidated, the kinds of reason you are, how intimidating it might be for you. Now, you might be asking for additional resources that others have leveraged that really work. It's those small things that will help you to put yourself out there and let people see and know more about you without you having to have individual conversations with them. You're doing it at scale. So that's why when you're actually looking for a job, these people already have some familiarity with you. Anyway, Melissa, sorry, I didn't mean to.
Nope, that's perfect. And one thing that made me think of is when you're going out there and updating your resume or LinkedIn based on your current job, look at your position description. Take the bullet points from your position description, copy those straight onto your resume or LinkedIn, and then go in and edit them so that they're in your own words, your own bullet points. But use that because it's already there and it's already saying this is what you're doing. And so you're able to use that to your advantage. I actually just helped someone with a resume last week or a week before doing that. And that was very helpful for them. That was the main part I had about that. But so if you're new to the ecosystem, if you're new to Salesforce, definitely go out and start your training. Backing up a bit here. Like I said, Trillion wasn't there when I started. It is wonderful. I'm now almost a 3-time ranger, I think. I've got a lot of badges out there. I'm constantly learning. Give yourself an hour a week to go out and learn if you're already in the ecosystem. There's always new content. Jen, who's on here, she's got, 2,000 badges? There's a lot. I'm about like 10%. So I know that's something I can continue doing. I can keep looking out there at what I need to learn. If you want to learn CPQ, that's something that's very highly sought out right now. It's not something I have, but it's something I'm asked about a lot. That might be where I want to put my time. But there's always lots of stuff. There's specifically recently, the ones I've done have been the ones to update myself because of the new releases. I want to know what's coming out, what's changing, so that I know what I need to do with my own business and with the orgs that I work in. And so that stuff's there. Make use of it. There's lots of good websites, lots of good blogs, everything that you can go out and you can constantly be learning, constantly be updating your skills. I keep saying that forever. I talk 20 minutes just on that. Certifications. If you're new, definitely start with the Salesforce certified Salesforce administrator, if that's the route you want to go. If you're interested in developer, I think that's still a good one to get. But there is a more basic developer. I don't want to say basic. I feel like there's nothing basic about development because I'm not a developer at all. But then eventually I went and I got Sales Cloud Consultant and Advanced Administrator as well. Make sure those are listed on your resume. Don't just say you're certified because they don't know what that means. David, how many certifications do you have?
I only have 3 certifications, and honestly, that's a point. And by the way, I'm not knocking neither Jen nor anyone else who has a lot of certifications. There is nothing wrong with learning a ton and sitting for the certification exams and getting those certifications. However, I think of it as like a college degree. How many freaking degrees do you need to have in order to be successful as a professional? So if you want to learn for the sake of learning, if you want to learn for the sake of formalizing the knowledge that you have so that you can put it on your resume, that's great. But after a certain point, nobody cares. Like really nobody cares. It all depends on what niche, what industry, what platform you are focusing on. But in the end, your ability to solve problems for organizations, your knowledge and expertise in the platform and how to leverage the features of the platform to solve those problems, That is way more important than having X number of certifications. Now, with that being said, if I am a hiring manager and I am looking to compare different candidates, I'm looking to choose of the pile of resumes that I have sitting in front of me, which ones I should put in this pile versus the other pile. Certifications are going to help, but at a certain point, I only really care about those certifications that are relevant for the job that I have open. And if someone has a ton of certifications with minimal work experience or a ton of certifications on things that have nothing to do with anything that we're going to be working on in our business in this role, I would feel horrible inviting that person for an interview because they're going to be highly disappointed, bored to tears. At least that's my impression as a hiring manager. If all they're going to be working on is Sales Cloud and they have certifications on Marketing Cloud and on Pardot and on CPQ and on Quip and on all kinds of other things, yeah, this probably is not the right job for you. So take it with a grain of salt. Melissa, you were going to say something.
I'm just going to say they might see all those certifications and think they can't afford you. So you have to be careful of that. You want to go for the basic ones that you're going to be working on, you're going to be looking for a job in, and make yourself marketable. But yes, I have several friends that have a dozen or more certifications, and that's wonderful, especially if you want to work for Salesforce. But I think a regular basic admin, and again, I shouldn't say basic, we only need a couple. You only really need that first one to get in the door and get a job. So don't put a lot of pressure onto yourself to get those certifications. They're hard. And you will spend a lot of time, and sometimes people spend a lot of money. I didn't, but some people do to get those certifications, and you don't have to. So take the pressure off of yourself, get the first certification, and go from there. Decide what you're going to specialize in, what your brand is going to be.
So, Melissa, that's fantastic advice for folks who are basically new to the workforce. So, typically, like people who are like straight out of college. So, go to Trailhead, figure out which career path. Go to Trailhead for free materials to learn whatever it is that you want to learn in Salesforce. Pick the career path that is of most interest to you. And if you haven't started anywhere, then to Melissa's point, start with the admin certification, what's often known as the Admin 201 type certification. Go ahead and add on whatever other certifications are relevant based on what it is that you need or what your passion or interest is in. But again, don't bank on, there is not a direct correlation between number of certifications you have and the amount of income you're going to generate or the amount of job offers that will come your way. And get the hands-on work experience that you need. And to the point that we made before when talking about LinkedIn, make sure to get noticed by sharing the knowledge, the wisdom that you have. And guess, sharing the advice, the tips that you have for your peers or for the folks that you're working with, and sharing that internally within your organization, sharing it on social media, sharing it at Salesforce user group meetups, that is far more valuable than collecting certifications, because that will have a much more impactful, what's the word I'm looking for? Reputation that you're going to create for yourselves with your target audience. Let's shift gears real quick. Oh, sorry, you're going to say.
Nope, go ahead.
Let's shift gears real quick and focus on those so that's for folks who are basically new to the workforce, folks who are mid-career, but new to Salesforce. In other words, folks who they've been in the workforce for some time. They've been a project manager or an IT leader or a database manager, or maybe did not have anything IT related in their job history. They were in financial services or healthcare, but they're pretty advanced in their career. And now they're exploring Salesforce as a career path. What advice do you have for those folks?
Oh boy. Again, look at certifications, follow the path that you want to. I know we've got a lot of questions coming in, and someone mentioned business analyst. That's a big up and coming thing in Salesforce right now. There's a group that is focusing solely on business analysts with Salesforce and really trying to teach people that, because it is something that is a career path that is newer. And I've actually looked into it some myself just because I think it's very interesting. And I see that we use it every day as an admin. And so I think that's a great career path to look at. Definitely just take yourself to the next level, whether it's another certification and getting your foot in a little bit further as a developer, maybe getting some projects that are a little bit bigger or things that you're going to stretch your knowledge and stretch your abilities so that you can keep growing. You definitely don't want to be stagnant, and you don't have to be in the Salesforce ecosystem. You can constantly grow. You can constantly find more work, find more, like if you want to add a contract, if you have 20 extra hours a week, or maybe even 10 hours a week, if you just want to grab a contract and work on something else, work on another org for a little while, you've got the ability to do that once you've got a little experience under your belt. So definitely take advantage of those things that are out there, because this ecosystem, this career paths, all the paths that we have are just amazing. And 20 years ago, this didn't exist. So it's pretty young still, and there's so much opportunity. Like we've said many times, Salesforce training, all kinds of training. That someone mentioned the help pages. Those are huge. I'm on those every day, probably. Trailhead, I'm at least once a week. Other technology. I recently was certified in Safe Agile, and a friend in the ecosystem, a good friend of mine, reached out to me last week and just said, "How did you do this? Where did you find this information? How did you get the training?" That's all good to have, because we are often working in those agile environments with the developers and with our teams. And so that's all good stuff to have and to be able to add to your resume. So just continue to learn, continue to grow, and continue to add those things to your portfolio.
Absolutely. For folks who are new to Salesforce, I just want to focus in on one other thing before we switch over to folks who are mid-career with Salesforce experience. If you're new to Salesforce and you did not have any technology or any Salesforce experience before, but you do have some niche industry expertise, that niche industry expertise is going to take you very far. That is just as valuable. If you add on to that, think of it as like layers. And if you have your foundation is not Salesforce, but it is niche industry expertise. Again, let's just use examples of, let's say, education or nonprofits or healthcare or financial services. I can keep going on and on. But you add on top of that through Trailhead, through YouTube, through courses like my course, and you start learning Salesforce to become an admin. You take an advanced admin course, you become a developer, whatever it is, you add that on top of the niche industry expertise that you have. You are far more valuable than, in my mind, than someone who is brand new to the workforce and has 15 certifications, but has never logged into a Salesforce org before and knows nothing about financial services or healthcare or education or nonprofit and knows nothing about any of those things. You are far more valuable than those people. So is it too late if you're mid-career and you're new to Salesforce? Is it too late to start a pivot over to Salesforce? Absolutely not. There are going to be lots of companies who are eager to leverage your knowledge and expertise on the Salesforce platform. And it's okay that you're first learning Salesforce now. None of us were born knowing Salesforce. It's fine. You will do fine. Just be transparent about what you know and what you don't know. That's totally cool.
I recently read that everyone's a beginner at what they end up doing. Everyone's a beginner at some point. You have to start somewhere. I'm 44. I started this 8 years ago and I love it. And it's given me a whole new career path. Definitely a great career path. There's something else I was saying, but I already forgot it. So I'll come back to it.
All right. So let's focus on mid-career, those who have extensive Salesforce experience. So to Melissa's point, she showed before, like her resume and highlighting the summary, the highlights of what Melissa had, the type of experiences that she's had, because guess what? Any recruiter, any hiring manager, they're skimming just like we are. Our brains have been Twitterized. So sum it up to the best of your ability. Put in those keywords for what it is that you want to be known for, what it is that is most fitting for the type of role that you're looking to get. And if you need to grow, then let's say, for example, you're at a company and they're using Salesforce for some time, but nothing is changing. They're not buying any other products. They are not interested in using any other features. What I'll tell you is this: go ahead and learn those. Let's say even with new Salesforce releases, go ahead and learn the new features that are being made available. Even if within your company, nobody's interested in using it, go ahead and create a quick YouTube video about it, write a blog article about it, post something about it on LinkedIn, and all you're linking to is content created by Salesforce. But what you're sharing is the knowledge that you have that this exists. Even though you didn't create it, You didn't create the video, you didn't create the feature. So you are, by doing that, you are A, keeping yourself up to date with the skill set that you need, knowing that these features exist, even though at work your hands are tied and you're not able to do anything about it. You're also putting it out there to the world that you are on top of all of these new features that are coming out, let alone, let's use the examples I gave before, CPQ and Quip. And let's say that you are super interested, for whatever reason, you're just super interested in learning these new features, learning these new platforms that are available. You can go ahead on Trailhead and you start learning. And as you're learning it again, when you have those light bulb moments of things that are exciting you, go ahead and start sharing it. Share it with people at work, share it with your manager, share it with your colleagues, share it at a local user group meetup. Go ahead and share it on social media. All of those things will help you feel more alive. That will also naturally start to gravitate yourself to those new job openings as they become available. And things will start to happen very naturally, even though you did not yet have the hands-on experience to actually start using these tools or these features. Anyway, Jen, I'm sorry, Melissa, I saw Jen's comment over here. Melissa, is there anything you want to add to?
No, I think that's good. We could go on forever on careers. I think there's, like I said, there's so much going on there. And that's another thing too. When I was looking for a job, I had so many offers for interviews just because there are not enough of us out there. And I can't say that strongly enough. There are so many careers, so many job openings, I should say, looking for the skills that we have. And there are not enough certified admins out there. There are not enough people doing this work to fill those positions. So anything you can do to create that brand for yourself and to work on yourself and get to where you need to for the jobs that are out there is great. You will have opportunities you never dreamed of.